Welcome back to my channel for another episode of What's New with Human Design, my weekly Human Design Transit Report. Today is November 29th, and yesterday the Sun moved into the gate 9 and the Earth moved into the gate 16. In terms of circuitry, this is a significant change because both the gate 9 and the gate 16 are in the logic circuit or the pattern circuit. This is also collective circuitry. We've been spending a lot of time with mutative energy in the individual circuit, different aspects of the individual circuit. In the last transit, the Sun and the Earth were lighting up the gate 34 and the gate 20. Now, the nodes have been lighting up the 34-20 for months now. So we've had a lot of mutative energy going on through all kinds of different aspects. And we still have that 34-20 happening. And we still have the 61-24 going on here, which is also in the knowing circuit, also individual circuitry. So there's still plenty of individual circuitry going on. But the Sun and the Earth have moved into the logic circuit or the pattern circuit, which is collective circuitry. So this is very different energy. It's much more left brain. It's much more logical. It's analytical, it's strategic, and it has a focal gaze, which is interesting because the gate 9 is known in traditional human design as the gate of focus, and in quantum human design as the gate of narrowing. As the gate of narrowing or focus, obviously it is emphasizing that focal gaze, whereas the sensing circuit, which is more right-brained, which we're going to get some of next week, is much more of a peripheral gaze, and it's much more wide and connected to all that is. Whereas with the left brain is a focal gaze, and so it makes sense here that this gate would be called the gate of focus or of narrowing. Now, this is the kind of classic energy that you might find with someone with ADHD, where the interesting thing about attention deficit is that we often think of it as bouncing around from thing to thing, but it also creates very deep focus, sometimes being so focused that everything else fades into the background, sometimes for a long time. This energy can be kind of obsessive because the focus gets so strong that time fades away, other concerns, other responsibilities all fade away. So this can be great for certain forms of creativity, for productivity, for getting things done, because it does help you to take a really deep dive into what you're doing. But you have to also be able to have a sense of maybe set a timer on your phone to make sure that you stop every now and then and go, okay, wait, where am I? What time is it? Do I need to be doing anything else as well? So the way to balance out this energy of focus is also to be able to step back and see the big picture, to be able to see what is going on, where do I need to focus, can I go from focus to big picture to focus, and to build the muscle of doing that. The Earth has moved into the gate 16, which in traditional human design is known as the gate of skills. I always think of it as talent because it's part of the channel of talent. And in quantum human design, it's known as the gate of zest. I love that word, zest, right? It just feels good just to say it, zest. It is this kind of joie de vivre. It's this enthusiasm. It's this love of life. And it's known for being able to leap into things. Unfortunately, sometimes without thinking a whole lot whether or not it's the right time or the right thing. But there is a kind of courage to it. There's a kind of, let's just go for it. You know, the Nike, let's just do it. There's not a lot of over concern about preparation, timing, and all of that, which sometimes is good, but other times needs to be balanced out with that. When it is married with its partner, the gate 48, which is the gate of wisdom, then it creates this complete channel, the channel of talent. And these two make a really great pair because the 16 wants to just go for it. And the 48 really wants to understand, wants to have knowledge in this area, wants to do the research. But sometimes the 48 can get stuck by thinking, I don't know enough. I'm never going to know enough. This is the fear of the 48 being part of the spleen, right? And so so when you put those two together, the 16 is like, come on, let's go for it. The 48 is like, okay, wait a second. Let's make sure that we know what we need to know before we do. Let's make sure that we're prepared. And the 16 goes, okay, all right, let's do that. But then let's go. So you can see how these two really make a great pair. The earth is in that energy right now. And so it's kind of a little bit of a paradox to ground yourself in this let's go for it energy, because that feels a little more buoyant and uplifted and effervescent, if you will. But if you can imagine yourself kind of grounding yourself in this willingness to engage, willingness to say yes to life, willingness to take risks and to go for it without being too overly concerned. Watching out for if you get overwhelmed, right? But also just going, you know what have I got to lose? Especially for things that are not at a super high stakes. That'll create a foundation for you when you're thinking about what am I going to focus on. You're taking a look at the big picture and you're like, okay, I'm going to go for it. And you're looking at the big picture, which will slow it down just a little bit. And it'll give you the opportunity to select where to focus. And that'll be good, because selecting where to focus will help you make a good decision rather than just not even thinking about it and jump, right? So if you have that big picture, slow down a little bit, decide where to focus, and then use that energy of the 16 to go for it, you can have a really great combination going this week. Then on Friday, December 3rd, the sun is going to move into the gate 5 and the earth is going to move into the gate 35. Here we still have collective circuitry. So for 2 different transits in a row, the sun and the earth are in collective circuitry. So collective circuitry is kind of about the big things in life, right? It has a lot to do with governments or infrastructure or where all of the different tribes kind of connect with each other. So it's about kind of big things in life, which is different than that individual circuitry, which is like, I'm just going to get my downloads and then I'm going to go for it and I'm going to be mutative. The collective circuitry is more about what's going to really work for everybody. Is this going to help everyone? Is it going to get in the way? How can we take more and more different people into account? Now, the 5 is awesome because the 5 connects into the rhythm of the natural world. In traditional human design, it's known as patterns, and in quantum human design, it's known as consistency. It's part of the channel of rhythm, and that is the energy that helps us to connect with the rhythm of the natural world, the rhythm of the day, the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of the annual cycles. So even though it's part of the logic circuit, that channel is, it is also connected with the natural world. So it's a little bit of a different energy. It's definitely about patterns, but it's about the patterns of the natural world. So in that sense, it's not so logical the way that we think of it, or analytical or strategic. It's more about how nature works and the patterns of nature. This would be a good time to be investigating a little bit more about how there is natural order throughout the world, even though sometimes we as human beings with our limited point of view might look chaotic. But if you go into a forest, for example, initially it just might look like there's trees everywhere and there's ferns growing from the ground and whatever else you might see. But if you stop and take another look, you can start to see the order that's happening inside of the forest. You can see the way the trees, for example, are coming together in 3s or 4s, or if you're around redwoods, they're creating rings. So that might be something you'd want to do, just to have a feel for what that kind of order is that is available to you. So it's rhythm, it's order, but it's order in the natural world. It's the pattern in the natural world. I had the great good fortune some years ago to with a master painter named Sue Hoya Sellers, she helped me with this painting actually, and she was an anatomical illustrator. I mean, she was extremely precise in what she did, but she taught us to go out into the natural world and to look at the trees and see the pattern in the leaf forms and the different leaf forms among the different types of trees. and then also among the different types of ferns or bushes or flowers or whatever it was. And when I was studying with her a lot and going out and doing what they call plein air, which is where you're drawing from nature, I would go out and I would see patterns everywhere. It was extraordinary. I can still do that now, but I have to have the intention of doing it, and I have to focus for longer because I don't have it just immediately with me the way that I once did. This energy of the 5 really supports us to have routine in our lives. If you have this defined in your chart, you're someone who would do well to get up more or less at the same time every day. Have a morning routine that really supports you. Go to bed at the same time. Eat meals more or less at the same time. Really have a rhythm to your days. It'll give you a structure to hang your activities on, if you will, that'll really support you to relax. And while the sun is transiting the 5, you can try that out for yourself. If you've wanted to be able to create a morning routine for yourself, if you want to have a sadhana practice, which is the date with the divine that we do in yoga practice, if you want to find some way to have a little more regularity to when you get up or when you go to bed or when you eat, things like that, you can lean into that energy of the 5, and it can help you with that. Now, just a little word of caution. If you have the 15 defined in your chart and not the 5, then that might be hard for you because you're not really designed to have that much rhythm in your life, or not that much routine, the same thing every day. And if you try to make yourself do that, you might end up just getting frustrated and you might get mad at yourself and think something's wrong with you. So if you just have the 15 defined in your chart, then be easy on yourself with that and don't necessarily try to make yourself do that. It doesn't mean you can't have some kind of a regular practice that supports you or regular eating times more or less that support you. It's just that you want to have some flexibility about that without trying to, fit yourself into that slot that works for other people. The Earth will move on December 3rd into the gate 35. Now, the gate 35 is in the sensing circuit. The other 3 that we've just been talking about today are all in the logic circuit or the pattern circuit. The sensing circuit is also collective energy, but it's the right-brained energy. It's creative, it's expansive, it is more of that broad perspective. It's more connected to the all that is. It's not so boundaried, and it's more of the peripheral gaze and not that focal gaze that I was just talking about a minute ago. In traditional human design, it is called the gate of change, and in quantum human design, it's called the gate of experience. And it is all about experience. This channel, the 3536, loves experience. Now, the key here is to be able to consider what experiences you really want to have to be able to select and to get good at selecting the right experiences. Oftentimes when you're younger, if you have this defined in your chart, you might just be, and especially if you're a 3rd line profile, which loves experience and trying things out, you might find yourself trying lots and lots and lots and lots of things. And you want to be careful not to overdo that and kind of run from one thing to the next and not really get the benefit of having had that experience, allowing yourself to integrate it and to receive whatever the golden nuggets are, the wisdom that you can receive from the experiences that you've had. So when all of us are going to be connecting with this gate 35 as the Earth is lighting it up for these next 5 or 6 days, you can really be leaning into what feels good to you in terms of experience and to select some that are going to be right for you, or you suspect that they are, even if they're brand new. You're going to use your life experience to be able to discern what you think is going to feel really good to you, that's going to be nourishing for you, exciting for you, that's going to help you to expand your horizons, or try something new. Sometimes the downside of this energy is that you can kind of get bored if you're not always going for one new experience after the next. You can kind of get addicted to the new experience, always wanting that new experience. And so you want to watch out for that, because it's not really helpful for you if you're always doing that, because then you're not truly enjoying the experience while you're doing it. This can be so shining object syndrome, right? Where you're just always kind of going for the next thing, but never really taking in the thing that you're doing at the time that you're doing it. This is the quintessential not being in the present moment, right? It's like even while you're doing one thing, you're thinking about the next thing that you want to do. So watch out for that. And you can really grab a hold of the power of this when you slow down a little bit, have the experience, and then reflect on what was it that you got from that and tell a story about this. Because has the energy for being able to digest and integrate what you got from that experience, and then to be able to share it with others so that they can get some of the benefit of the experience that you had too. Storytelling is big in the sensing circuit. There are a number of different gates that are all about storytelling. And so this is an opportunity when the 35 is here, is for you to take a look at some experiences that have been important for you in your life and maybe write about them or share about them to other people in your life. The holidays are going to be coming up, and so maybe you will want to be able to tell some stories of experiences that you had that you think might be entertaining, funny, helpful to other people, might help you get closer to some of the people in your life, help to develop some intimacy. You can tap into the power of creativity that is embedded in the sensing circuit. It's a very creative right brain energy. So there's a lot of creativity there. So don't feel you have to keep everything to, just the facts, ma'am. Really feel into how can you embellish this in a way that makes the story even more true, even if the facts are shifted around a little bit more. Given that the sun is in the gate 5 during this time, maybe you want to go out into nature and look at some of the patterns in nature, maybe sit by a tree or sit by a river or a creek, and to think about what stories you might want to share. Or maybe you want to tell stories about your experiences in nature. Think about how you can bring these two together. So embedding yourself into the experiences that you've had and the selection of experiences that you want to have, and then thinking about how your understanding about nature and the patterns of nature can help you to tell the very best story possible. As I said at the beginning, we still have a lot of mutative energy going with the 3420, which is in the integration circuit. I talked a lot about that last week. If you want to find out more about that, go ahead and watch this video that I did last week. And also with this 6124, which is in the knowing circuit. I've talked a lot about the knowing circuit over the last few months. So if you've been watching my transit reports at all, you'll know what I'm talking about. But this is all mutative energy. Mutative energy is here to bring different. It's here to bring change. It is on the leading edge. And so it's always kind of working to explore and expand and come up with something new through downloads and through just this deep inner knowing. And if you think of how you can make that dance with what's going on in the more collective circuits, for example, in the next few days, while the Earth is transiting the gate 16, you could use that energy of the gate 16 to move forward on some downloads that you may have gotten through this mutative energy that you may have felt a little like, oh, that's a little risky. I'm not sure if I want to do that, or I'm not even sure where I would go with it. But use that energy of the 16 to maybe go forward with some inner knowings that you have, some downloads that you have that you've been holding back from a little bit. And then starting on Friday, maybe using that energy of the gate 35 and experience and bring that together with this inner knowing that you have and the understanding that you're getting from this mutative energy. And be like, okay, how am I experiencing that in my life? What stories can I tell about that? Yes, it's here to be different. Yes, it's here to bring change, and it doesn't fit in. But maybe there's a way that using this storytelling ability from my own experience, I can help other people understand the value of this mutative energy that I've been kept bringing in. I really want to encourage you to be thinking about how you can bring these different energies together and have them dance with each other. Because sometimes they can feel a little bit like they're at loggerheads because they're very different types of energy. But if you start to practice just the way I was suggesting here, what that might look like in your own life, then you can practice bringing the different energies together and having them be your allies in your life and helping you move forward towards what it is that you want to be creating. I also want to let you know, because I've had some inquiries about this, yes, you can still register for Activate Your Lightworker Leadership Codes mini course that I did a couple of weeks ago, and all of the recordings are there, so that's still available to you. If you register, you can still go and get all of those recordings, and I will make sure to put the link down below. I hope you'll do it. I got some really, really great feedback, and it was new material that I was developing and bringing in, and I want to encourage you to check it out, because part of my purpose is to help inspire you and all of us to take more leadership in our lives in ways that really work for us. Not in a power over way, but more in developing the power within, which we do through human design and feminine sovereignty, and also the power between and the power among, which is about how we all relate with each other. I explain a lot more of that in the recordings for the Lightworker Leadership Codes activation course. And it's yours. It's totally free, and I hope you'll take advantage of it. Okay, that's it for today. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.